Welcome to this course on digital compositing, and in this course we'll be talking about all the aspects of digital compositing that you need to know if you're taking it from a beginner level, and we'll talk about the science behind compositing as well as the art and what you need to look for and be able to pull off a convincing composite. So what is compositing? Compositing is the art of combining visual elements to make them appear as though they were shot in the same scene. We use many different kinds of images and many different kinds of elements, and the goal is to be able to produce a shot or an image that is convincing to the viewer. Compositing is quite an old art form. It's over 100 years old, and since there's been cameras, there's been compositing of some sort. Back in the day it was almost mechanical, where you would expose different parts of film at different times and give the illusion that things were shot in the scene at the same time. These days all these effects are carried out digitally on the computer. So as a digital compositor, what are the main elements you're going to be working with? The main kind of elements you'll be working with are green and blue screen elements. You've probably all seen these in making ofs and things like that. Green screen and blue screen elements allow us to quickly extract a matte of a character or item or object without having to go through manually drawing around that element, which is called rotoscoping. You'll also be dealing with 3D elements, which are elements which have been generated, created, rendered, lit, and designed inside a computer program rather than shot in real life. You'll be using lots of live action elements, and these are elements such as your main plate, which is the basis for your composite. In most shots, some shots they don't have any live plate and it's all CG, but often you do have a live action plate, and these can also include things like live action effects elements such as special effect elements. So you'd have like an explosion, flames, debris, dust, environmental effects, things like that, lens flares. These would all be examples of live action elements which we use to enhance our composite. And finally you have matte paintings, which are images which can be painted from scratch by hand, or a combination of several images which give us a background. Usually matte paintings are backgrounds, but they can be set extensions for extending the range of the shot and things like that. They're the main elements that we will be dealing with, and then in the process of compositing we also kind of create our own elements inside the compositing package. The main real tools in compositing is color grading, tracking, keying, and rotoscoping. There's many nodes inside all compositing packages, or sorry, I should say many tools, and really when you really break it down and try and define it into some main categories, this is what you kind of get. Color grading obviously is modifying the color of an image in order for it to fit image B. So if you have image A and they're shot at different times in different locations, their lighting's going to be different, the colour's going to be different, the images aren't going to look the same. You can't just put one over the other and expect them to match. So color grading is a tool we use to get these images to match a bit closer or perfectly so that they look like they fit in the same scene. We also use tracking tools. Tracking tools are tools which let us stabilize or match move elements which have been shot with a moving camera. So if you have a locked off camera where the camera doesn't move, then the elements inside your screen shouldn't be moving, unless of course they are moving, such as like a car driving past. So if you have a car driving past, you'd still need to be tracking that car. But oftentimes plates might be shaky, in which case they might need to be stabilized. And also you might have times where you need to add an element to a moving object. In this case we would be match moving our element to the moving object, and these are types of tracking. We also have keying, which as I mentioned before is extracting a matte from a green screen or blue screen element. It doesn't have to be green or blue screen. We can also use luminance keys, which are based off the brightness of an image. and there's a few other little different tricks and tools we can talk about. And so that's what keying is. It's a time-saving technique. It's basically a way of procedurally creating a matte image, which we'll talk about what mattes are and all that in the course as we go. And we also have rotoscoping, which is the process of manually creating that matte image that I just spoke about. If an image has no green screen, or it has too much detail in the background, or something that is preventing the keyer from being able to create a procedural matte, then we need some other way of creating the matte, and rotoscoping is a way of manually generating those mattes by frame tracing out the outline of the object or person that we want to extract. So there's obviously many other tools. There's retiming tools, and there are transform tools and many other different tools, but these are kind of the main concepts which require experience and practice to get good at, I suppose you can say. These are the main things that actually take time to learn, whereas others, you don't really need any experience to move an object left to right or up and down. So that's why I've listed these as the primary tools that we need to learn about. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a really quick rundown on what compositing is and what we'll be learning in the course, and we'll get on to the next video.